In the mid-19th century, surgery was a lottery of life and death, and the odds were rarely in the patient's favor. Hospitals were seen not as places of healing, but as gateways to the grave. This was the world of Joseph Lister, a gifted surgeon haunted by the staggering death rates on his wards. He knew something was terribly wrong, but the enemy was invisible, lurking in the very air the surgeons breathed. This is the story of how one man's relentless quest for an answer would drag medicine out of the dark ages and into the light, forever changing the face of surgery. Step into a surgical theatre of the 1860s, and you'd find a scene of controlled chaos. Surgeons, often lauded for their speed, operated in their everyday street clothes, their hands unwashed, their instruments merely wiped clean. The operating table itself was a wooden relic, stained with the history of countless procedures. Following the surgery, patients were moved to crowded, poorly ventilated wards. Here, a grim reality set in. Wounds that should have healed instead festered with what was called hospital gangrene. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and recovery was the exception, not the rule. A successful operation was frequently just a prelude to a fatal infection. He performed flawless procedures only to watch his patients succumb to an unseen killer. He meticulously documented the failures, convinced that the answer lay not in his surgical skill, but in the environment itself. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A colleague pointed Lister toward the work of a French chemist named Louis Pasteur. In his groundbreaking research, Pasteur had demonstrated that fermentation and decay were not spontaneous events but were caused by microscopic living organisms, germs, floating in the air. As Lister read Pasteur's papers on how these microbes soured wine and spoiled milk, a powerful idea took root in his mind. If invisible germs could cause decay in inanimate matter, couldn't they also be the cause of the putrefaction he witnessed in human wounds? Lister hypothesized that by destroying these germs before they could enter an open wound, he could prevent infection and save his patients. He settled on carbolic acid, a foul-smelling substance derived from coal tar that was then being used to treat sewage. In 1865, his theory was put to the test. A young boy, James Greenlees, was brought to the Glasgow Royal Infirmary with a severe compound fracture in his leg, an injury that was almost always fatal. Lister meticulously cleaned the wound and the surrounding skin with a solution of carbolic acid. He then applied dressings soaked in the antiseptic, creating a chemical barrier against infection. Day after day, Lister tended to the wound, and to the astonishment of his colleagues, it healed cleanly without any sign of gangrene. The boy walked out of the hospital. This remarkable success was followed by others, yet Lister's methods were met with widespread skepticism and even ridicule. Many in the medical establishment dismissed his germ theory as fanciful and resisted the tedious, smelly process of carbolic acid application. Despite the initial resistance, the evidence became undeniable. In Lister's wards, the mortality rate from surgical infections plummeted. Charts and records that once tracked a grim march of death now illustrated an unprecedented story of survival and recovery. Slowly but surely, the medical world began to take notice. Surgeons from across Europe and America traveled to witness his methods firsthand, and the antiseptic principle began to spread. The simple acts of washing hands, sterilizing instruments, and maintaining a clean surgical field became standard practice. Lister's revolution transformed surgery from a last resort into a calculated, life-saving science. Today, every sterile operating room, every sanitized instrument, and every surgeon who scrubs in before a procedure stands as a testament to his vision. Joseph Lister didn't just clean up surgery, he gave it a future, saving countless lives and earning his title as the father of modern surgery.